Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell y'all something riddle tonight. Life ain't easy. And the truth is, it ain't supposed to be. But there's a kind of person who don't just survive this life, they rise above it. They bend but don't break. They struggle but still shine. These are mentally strong people, and you know what sets them apart? It ain't luck. It ain't where they come from. It's the habits they choose every single day. Mentally strong people practice gratitude daily, no matter the circumstances. This isn't just about saying thank you when things are going right. It's about recognizing what's still standing when everything else feels like it's falling apart. Gratitude for mentally strong individuals isn't a reaction, it's a decision. It's waking up and choosing to see what's present instead of what's missing. When life hits hard, and it will, these people don't waste time dwelling on what they sit still, look around, and find something, anything, that they can be thankful for. It might be breath in their lungs. It might be a friend who checked in. It might just be the fact that they made it through another day. Gratitude becomes their foundation because it shifts their mindset from loss to abundance, from fear to peace. Mentally strong people understand that when you train your mind to see blessings, you automatically reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. They know that gratitude doesn't erase problems, but it gives them the strength to face them. It reframes their thoughts and keeps them from drowning in negativity. Where most people get stuck in what's going wrong, strong minds deliberately focus on what's still right. It's not because their lives are easier, it's because they've developed the ability to direct their focus. They know that where focus goes, energy flows. And if you pour your energy into anger, complaints, and regret, you'll only get more of the same. But when you shift that energy to gratitude, to what's still beautiful, you build emotional resilience. They also don't wait for some big moment to be grateful. Mentally strong people aren't chasing the perfect job, the perfect relationship, or the dream house to finally say, now I'm thankful. They're thankful when they're in the process. They're grateful while they're climbing. They're grateful for the lessons in the struggle and the strength in the waiting. They give thanks for the tough times because they understand that the tough times made them tough. That kind of attitude doesn't come naturally. It comes with practice, daily practice, speaking it out loud, writing it down, saying it when it's the last thing you feel like saying. Over time, it rewires your brain, and gratitude becomes your default setting instead of despair. Mentally strong people also use gratitude as a weapon against comparison. When the world is screaming you're not enough and social media makes everyone else look like they live in a dream, strong minds shut out that noise and ground themselves in their own journey. They say, I may not be where I want to be yet, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. That one thought, that's power, that's control, that's a shield against the toxic cycle of not feeling worthy. Gratitude becomes the voice that says, I have what I need and I trust more is coming. It gives them patience when life takes time. It gives them perspective when things don't go as planned. It gives them peace in the middle of storms. When other people complain about what went wrong today, mentally strong people find one thing that went right. When the day is long and the weight is heavy, they still whisper, I'm grateful for the strength to carry it. And even when they fail or fall, they find thanks in the lesson, in the growth, in the fact that they had the courage to try. Gratitude is how they fight their battles. It's not a soft or passive act. It's bold, it's fierce. It's the declaration that no matter what's happening around them, they will choose to see the good. It's how they stay grounded, focused, and hopeful, even in the darkest seasons. Mentally strong people train their minds to focus on solutions instead of problems. This mindset doesn't come naturally to most people because the human brain is hardwired for survival, and that often means scanning for danger, identifying what's wrong, and preparing for the worst. But mentally strong individuals override that default. They've learned that staying stuck in the problem does nothing but drain energy, lower confidence, and create paralysis. They know that every minute spent complaining or replaying what went wrong is a minute stolen from the time that could be used to fix it, change it, or grow from it. So they take a different route. When something breaks, instead of whining, they get to work. When something fails, instead of blaming, they analyze and adjust. Their focus immediately shifts to what they can do, not what went wrong. This doesn't mean they ignore problems or pretend everything is fine. They face reality head on, but they do it with an active mind, not a reactive one. They ask better questions, not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to teach me? Not who's to blame, but what can I learn and improve? It's this shift in perspective that keeps them ahead. It gives them clarity when others are overwhelmed. It gives them progress when others are spinning in circles. They understand that problems are just opportunities dressed in difficulty. Every challenge is an invitation to rise, to grow, and to figure things out. Their focus on solutions gives them momentum, and momentum is what separates the stuck from the successful. Mentally strong people also know that emotions are real, but they don't let those emotions hijack their thinking. Yes, they feel frustration. Yes, they get angry or disappointed, but they don't stay there. They don't allow those emotions to cloud their judgment or stop them from moving forward. They acknowledge the feeling, then go back to the question, what's the next step? What is in my control? What action can I take right now? This self-direction is powerful. It creates a sense of ownership over their life and results. They don't wait for someone to save them. They don't sit around hoping the situation changes on its own. They become their own rescue plan. Another thing mentally strong people do is simplify. When a problem looks too big, they break it down into pieces. They don't try to solve everything in one day. They identify the next best move and then the next one after that. This ability to narrow their focus keeps them from feeling overwhelmed. It gives them a roadmap in moments of chaos. Instead of being frozen by the size of the problem, they become focused on the small, actionable steps that lead to progress. This is how they build resilience, not by avoiding struggle, but by becoming smarter and stronger inside it. They also surround themselves with the right people, people who are proactive, creative, and honest. Mentally strong people know that environment matters. If you're always around folks who just talk about the problem, who gossip, who blame, you will start to think the same way. But if you're with people who ask, what can we do and how can we make it better? Your thinking starts to shift. Strong minds create strong circles, and strong circles build strong results. It's a mindset that becomes contagious. Finally, mentally strong people use adversity as a sharpening tool. Each problem they solve builds confidence. Each obstacle they overcome adds to their belief that they can handle anything. Focusing on solutions trains the brain to look for paths where others see walls. It builds grit. It builds adaptability. It builds a life that's based on personal power instead of external chaos. Mentally strong people stay consistent with routines and discipline even when motivation fades. Motivation is a powerful spark, but it's not a sustainable fuel. Anyone can feel fired up after watching an inspiring video, reading a quote, or hearing a motivational speech. But what separates the strong from the average is what they do when that spark disappears. Mentally strong people don't rely on how they feel to determine what they do. They rely on what they've committed to. They show up when it's boring. They show up when it's hard. They show up when nobody's clapping, when nobody's watching, when there's no reward in sight. They understand that greatness isn't built in bursts of energy. It's built in the quiet, unglamorous, daily grind of discipline. Consistency is their anchor. It gives them structure when life gets chaotic. It gives them clarity when emotions get loud. When things fall apart, they don't fall with them because they've trained themselves to stick to the process. Their routine becomes their safe place, their foundation, the thing they can control even when everything else is uncertain. They wake up at the same time. They move their body, fuel their mind, stick to their goals. Not because it's easy, not because they always want to, but because they've made a decision that their purpose is bigger than their mood. Mentally strong people respect the power of habits. They know that what you do consistently becomes who you are. One day of effort means nothing if it's not followed by discipline. They don't chase perfection. They chase progress, one step at a time. They understand that small actions repeated over time build massive results. A morning routine, a daily journal, a commitment to health, a plan for finances, time for family, time for prayer or reflection. These are not occasional acts, they are non-negotiables. They don't make excuses when things get hard. They stay the course. That's what separates dreamers from doers. They also know how to handle failure within their discipline. If they miss a day, they don't spiral. If they mess up, they don't quit. They reset quickly. They forgive themselves and move forward. This kind of mental strength is built through years of practice. It's the ability to get back up without dragging shame or guilt. It's choosing action over self-pity. It's not letting one mistake erase a month of progress. Mentally strong people have trained themselves to bounce back fast and stick to the rhythm they've created, even when life interrupts. They understand that discipline is a form of self-respect. When they keep their promises to themselves, they build inner trust. Every time they do what they said they would do, even when they don't feel like it, they strengthen their identity. They stop seeing themselves as someone who gives up and start seeing themselves as someone who follows through. That identity shift creates even more strength, more momentum, more success. They don't depend on outside rewards to keep going. The act of keeping their word is enough. That's what makes them powerful. Mentally strong people are also strategic with their time. They don't waste hours scrolling, complaining, or drifting. Their time is managed with purpose. They prioritize what matters. They say no when they need to. They eliminate distractions. They plan their days with intention, and they stick to that plan, not just when life is easy, but especially when life is tough. That's the real test of discipline. Can you do what needs to be done when everything in you says rest, delay, quit? They can because they've practiced, because they've built it into their identity, because they've decided that who they want to become is worth the discomfort of discipline. Mentally strong people don't waste energy on things they can't control. They understand that energy is one of their most valuable resources, and where it goes, their life flows. Most people spend so much of their time stressing, worrying, and overthinking about situations that are completely outside their control. They obsess over other people's opinions, over outcomes they can't predict, over mistakes they can't undo. But mentally strong individuals have trained themselves to draw a clear boundary between what's theirs to carry and what's not. They ask themselves, can I do something about this? And if the answer is no, they release it, not because they don't care, but because they care enough about their peace to protect it. This mindset shift doesn't come overnight. It takes daily awareness to recognize when your thoughts are spiraling into places that only cause more stress. Mentally strong people practice pausing. When life throws the unexpected at them, they don't react immediately. They breathe. They assess. They respond from a place of clarity, not chaos. And that's because they've learned to keep their emotional energy focused on what they can change, like their effort, their attitude, their preparation, their response. They know they can't control someone else's actions, but they can control their own integrity. They can't control the weather, the economy, or how someone treats them, but they can control how they move forward, how they rise, how they speak. Mentally strong people also understand the danger of overthinking. They know that rumination is a silent thief that steals time, sleep, and creativity. So instead of replaying what went wrong or trying to predict every possible outcome, they anchor themselves in the present. They focus on action, not anxiety. If something needs to be done, they do it. If there's nothing they can do, they let it go. This doesn't mean they don't care. It means they refuse to hand over their emotional power to circumstances that are beyond their reach. They stay grounded in what's real and what's theirs to manage. They don't argue with reality. They don't wish things were easier. They accept what is and then decide what to do with it. That's how they conserve their strength. That's how they avoid burnout. That's how they keep their minds sharp and their spirits steady. While others are busy trying to control everything around them, mentally strong people are mastering self-control. That's their secret weapon. They don't try to change people who don't want to grow. They don't try to fix every broken situation. They lead with wisdom, choosing their battles carefully and walking away from things that drain them without apology. Mentally strong people also don't take things personally. They've learned that most of what people do or say is a reflection of them, not a reflection of you. So instead of wasting energy on anger, resentment, or proving their point, they choose inner peace. They don't chase validation. They don't need everyone to understand or agree with them. They're comfortable letting go of the need to be right in exchange for being free. That mental freedom is what keeps them stable when life is unstable. It's what allows them to move with grace instead of frustration, right? And so they create emotional boundaries that protect their focus. They limit their exposure to negativity. They cut off drama. They don't get caught up in gossip, complaining, or arguing. It's not that they don't feel emotion. It's that they don't feed the emotions that keep them stuck. They pour their energy into growth, healing, purpose, and forward motion. They've learned that their power increases the moment they stop wasting time on things that don't matter. Their peace is built not by controlling everything, but by mastering how they show up in a world where so much is beyond control. Mentally strong people embrace discomfort and use it as a tool for growth. They don't run from it, numb it, or pretend it isn't there. They look it in the eye and walk right through it. Discomfort is not their enemy, it's their training ground. Where others see difficulty, they see an opportunity to build something within themselves that can't be developed in comfort. They understand that nothing worth having comes without some level of pain, frustration, or sacrifice. The gym doesn't build strength without resistance. A business doesn't grow without risk. A dream doesn't become reality without setbacks. Mentally strong people accept this truth, and rather than fighting it, they lean into it with discipline and determination. They've trained themselves to be uncomfortable on purpose, waking up early when their body wants to sleep, saying no when temptation calls, starting over when it would be easier to quit, choosing the hard conversation over silent resentment, doing what's right over what's easy. These are not random acts of strength. They are practice habits that develop inner toughness. Discomfort is where confidence is born, because every time they push through it, they prove something to themselves. They prove that they are capable. They prove that they are stronger than they thought. That's why they don't wait to feel ready or fearless. They act in spite of fear, and the courage shows up in the doing. Mentally strong people also understand that avoiding discomfort only leads to stagnation. If they only stayed where it's familiar, they'd never evolve. They'd never stretch. They'd never discover who they truly are or what they're truly capable of. So instead of hiding from challenges, they invite them. Not because they love pain, but because they love what pain produces: growth, depth, grit, wisdom, resilience. They don't ask for an easier road. They ask to be made stronger for the one they're on. Their mindset changes everything. It makes them unstoppable because they no longer fear struggle. They welcome it as part of the process. They also manage discomfort with intention. They don't let it control their reactions. They feel the weight of pressure, but they don't fold. They feel the sting of failure, but they don't run. They sit with the hard moments and ask, what is this teaching me? They don't waste pain, they use it. Every hardship becomes a stepping stone. Every loss becomes a lesson. Every scar becomes a story of survival and strength. That's why mentally strong people have dipped. They've been through fire, and instead of being burned, they've been refined. They are not impulsive. They don't chase comfort when things get tough. They don't distract themselves with things that feel good in the moment, but leave them empty in the long run. Instead, they remain rooted in their purpose. They remind themselves why they started. They stay aligned with their long-term vision. This ability to delay gratification is one of their greatest strengths. They understand that short-term pain often leads to long-term gain, and they are willing to endure now to reap later. They don't let discomfort become a reason to settle. They let it become a reason to push harder. Mentally strong people also show others what is possible. They become living examples that you don't have to be ruled by comfort or convenience, that you can face difficulty and still move forward, that you can feel fear, doubt, and discomfort and still rise. They use their journey to inspire others to do the same. And because they've gone through it themselves, their strength is real. It's not theoretical. It's lived, tested, and earned. The more they walk through discomfort, the more unshakable they become. Not because life got easier, but because they got stronger. Because they stopped seeing pain as punishment and started seeing it as preparation. Mentally strong people speak to themselves with power, purpose, and belief. They understand that the conversations they have with themselves shape their reality. While most people allow their inner voice to run wild with doubt, fear, and self-criticism, mentally strong individuals take control of their voice and direct it toward growth. They know that the words they speak internally are just as important, if not more important, than the ones they say out loud. Because that inner voice, that's the voice they hear the most. And if it's not building them up, it's tearing them down. So they choose their words carefully, intentionally, and consistently. They don't wait to feel confident to speak like they are. They speak with confidence until it becomes real. They use affirmations, declarations, and truth to rewrite the scripts that once held them back. Mentally strong people don't tolerate mental bullying, not even from themselves. When that voice says you're not good enough, they counter it with, I am enough, and I'm growing stronger every day. When it says you'll fail, they reply, even if I fail, I'll learn and I'll rise again. They're not delusional. They're disciplined. They train their minds like athletes train their bodies, daily, deliberately, with focus and repetition. They understand that what you repeatedly say to yourself becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes how you act. That's why they don't speak fear over their dreams. They speak life. They speak action. They speak strength, even in moments of weakness. They also speak with purpose. Their words are aligned with where they want to go, not where they've been stuck. They don't keep replaying old wounds and expecting to heal. They don't keep saying things like, that's just how I am, or I've always struggled with this, if it doesn't serve the version of themselves they're becoming. They speak with vision. They talk to themselves in future tense, as if what they're working toward is already in motion. Because mentally strong people know that speaking it creates space for it, that declaring it activates something within them that pushes them toward action. And they always do. They don't curse the season. They remind themselves of their power, their resilience, and their ability to adapt. Self-talk is not a one-time thing for the mentally strong. It's a lifestyle. It's in how they wake up in the morning. It's in how they look in the mirror. It's in how they respond to stress, rejection, and unexpected detours. They don't just talk kindly to themselves when life is going well. They speak truth, even in the storm. They become their own motivator, their own cheerleader, their own guide. And because of that, they never walk into a room empty. They walk in already full of belief, full of vision, full of purpose. That inner strength shows on the outside. Mentally strong people are also intentional about guarding their mind from the outside voices that can poison their inner one. They filter what they consume. They don't just listen to anyone. They choose voices that reinforce their strength, their values, their mission. They cut out the noise that makes them question their worth and increase the volume on truth. They don't rely on external validation to feel worth. They've developed an inner dialogue that sustains them, no matter what the world says. That's how they stay centered when life gets loud. That's how they keep moving when everything says stop. And even when they stumble, when doubt creeps in, when they feel broken or discouraged, they go back to their words. They speak faith when fear rises. They speak healing when hurt lingers. They speak power when they feel powerless. That habit of speaking to themselves with strength becomes a shield, a compass, and a fire that keeps them going. It becomes a daily act of self-leadership, one that fuels their focus, their choices, and their future. Because when your inner voice is strong, it doesn't matter how loud the world gets, you know who you are, what you're capable of, and where you're going.